Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Like, wow.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned own media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Wednesday, February 14, 2024. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Chaos in Kansas City after today's Super Bowl champions parade. One person dead, 10 injured, and 2 people are reportedly in custody. The U.S. House closing the power gap after Tuesday night's special election when replaced expelled Congressman Republican George Santos. Democrat took that seat. Also on today's show, folks, Tennessee Republicans blocked a resolution honoring a black Grammy winner while approving the same measure for a white one. And he was one of Dr. King's top advisors. In fact, he helped him write the I Have a Dream speech. Sunday, Clarence Jones Jr., Dr. King's attorney, was featured in a Super Bowl ad against hate. He will join us to discuss the ad, plus his book, The Last of the Lions. Plus, in our Tech Talk segment, a program aimed at getting folks in the technology field in 4 weeks. We'll talk to the founder of the Chatbot Engineer Academy. It's time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Football, apple pie, and guns. That's all America. Today at the Super Bowl celebration for the Kansas City Chiefs, a shooting took place. 1 person dead, 10 wounded. Kansas City Fire Department Battalion Chief Michael Hopkins said that in addition to the person who was killed, 3 were in critical condition. 5 others were in serious condition. This is, of course, took place in terms of in Kansas City. You can see people running. They are scattering all over the place. Guys, audio, you could see people scattering, screaming. There were news media outlets that were actually live on the air, and then they noticed people just begin to take off. And so what then was supposed to happen was supposed to be a celebration on the inside. But again, you see right there, one of the wounded, you saw that stretcher that was out there. Massive police presence was already out there for the parade. But again, this shooting takes place. Now, police say they have 2 people who were detained after the shooting near a garage west of Union Station. The suspects have not been identified, but officials say it was not a terrorist attack. As we say, thousands of people were gathered downtown Kansas City for the celebration after the Chiefs won the Super Bowl on Sunday, defeating San Francisco 49ers. So I want to talk about this with my panel. So joining me right now on Roland Martin Unfiltered, Robert Patillo, host of People Passion Politics, 1380 WAOK out of Atlanta. Also, Rebecca Carruthers, Vice President for Fair Elections Center out of D.C., as well as Suzette Speaks, attorney and host, the Suzette Speaks Show out of Miami. The thing here, Robert, is very simple. And I said in the open, apple pie, football, and guns. What's more American than celebrating an NFL team winning the Super Bowl and gunfire erupts.
Well, if you're in any major city in the United States of America, this is now an everyday occurrence. What we are dealing with in this country is a permissive environment where now all the criminals all have guns at this point in time, and we're not doing anything to rail it in. We've had very common sense legislation that will require smart fingerprinting on guns, so that only your thumbprint will allow the gun to fire if you're a lawful gun owner. We've talked about background checks, which I think are a great idea. I think that also we should have serialization so that your gun is directly connected to you, so you'll be able to and tracking on firearms, because we have a huge missing firearm issue in this country. People, for some reason, believe that the people who are pro-Second Amendment don't believe in any gun regulations at all. That's not the case. But we have to have common sense gun laws that stop the people who commit acts like this from being armed, but also allow people who are lawful gun owners who want to protect themselves. Someone who was in a situation like this, if there was a good guy with a gun who could have stopped it, we have to put laws in place that will protect those individuals and their Second Amendment rights.
The problem that you have here, Rebecca, so when you talk about, the issue of guns and trying to have, voting rights, when you got a Republican Party that doesn't care about any of that, when you have Donald Trump at one of his rallies just the other day, actually praised and was excited and happy about what they did not do when it came to guns. In terms of so I want to do this here. I'm going to set this up. So let me play you exactly what he said. Here we go.
Me has been a great partner. They endorsed me early in 2016, and the relationship's been a great relationship. And I'll tell you, they've been the NRA for me has been a great partner. They endorsed me early in 2016, and the relationship's been a great relationship. And I'll tell you,
we did nothing about guns. He was touting that. We did nothing.
It's not just the issue about guns, but it's the issues about gun culture in America. And gun culture in America is rooted around violence. We do have sensible gun owners. We have people like Robert who use guns in case of self-defense and defending his family. And then we also have responsible gun owners who use it for hunting. I grew up in an agrarian state. I grew up in Nebraska. There's a lot of avid hunters in Nebraska and even in my family. But the issue is the violent gun culture in America, where the first step in resolving any type of conflict is just to show up in public places, to shoot indiscriminately, to shoot others and even the intended targets. It simply doesn't make sense. And then when we often see when it is a white perpetrator, we hear, oh, well, this is an issue of mental illness. No, the issue in America is violent gun culture, and until we are willing to address that, then we're going to continue to have mass shootings. I think before today, many folks were touting that, the first time in 3 years, this is the least amount of mass shootings that we've had in the first 6 weeks of the year. However, we still have had over 70 mass shootings this year. So to even say, it's great, we've only had 70 plus this year instead of 100 plus, in keeping pace with previous years. Violent gun culture in this country needs to be addressed, and it's only getting worse.
Suzette, again, when Robert talked about what laws we need to have, here's Donald Trump speaking to the NRA, making it clear that, if any are passed, I'm going to get rid of them. Listen.
And when I'm reelected, every single Biden attack on gun owners and manufacturers will be terminated my very first week back in office, perhaps my first day.
Now, keep in mind, Suzette, for folks who don't know, today is the anniversary of the mass shooting at Parkland High School. That took place on this day, February 14th, actually in 2018, so 6 years ago. And so this is the reality. And the reality is Republicans will do nothing about guns because they are beholden to the NRA.
Absolutely. You beat me to the punch. I was going to bring up Parkland because I'm from South Florida, and we've had commemorations all over the Tri-County area from Miami to Broward, where it happened, at Parkland High School, where all those young people were gunned down. There are still murals being painted. There were kids in their classrooms observing moments of silence. It's very real to us still in the South Florida community and beyond for all the communities who have been impacted by mass shootings. Like my fellow panelists just pointed out, for 2023, 2022, we're looking at 656 total nationwide mass shootings and 647. Again, they're saying it's a decrease, but look at the numbers. And as you pointed out, there doesn't seem to be on the Republican side any appetite to do anything about it. So the American people will have a very clear choice when it comes to policy around guns this November. We have to always, keep that in the forefront of our minds in terms of who is presenting solutions and who has not. President Biden has tried and has passed significant gun legislation. We need to do more. However, we are clear as to what the other side is not willing to do, as they have aligned themselves with the manufacturers and gun lobby.
Indeed. Folks, hold tight 1 second. We come back. Big wins last night for Democrats in a special election in New York State as well as in Pennsylvania. We'll talk about that and what it could mean for November. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
For the last 15 or maybe 16 years, 18 years, I'll say, since when I moved to LA, I hadn't had a break. I hadn't had a vacation, probably a week vacation here and there. Right. This year, after I got finished doing Queen Sugar and we wrapped it up, because I knew I had 2 TV shows coming on at the same time, I said, I'm going to take a little break. So I've been on break for the first time, and I can afford it now, praise God. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I can afford it. I'm like, I can sit back and ain't got nothing to worry about, man. But this was the first time in almost in 2 decades that I've actually had time to sit back and smell the roses.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. Immigrants lured off Texas streets and shipped to places like Martha's Vineyard and Washington, D.C. Believe it or not, we've seen it all before.
You people in the North, you're so sympathetic to Black people, you take them.
60 years ago, they called it the reverse freedom rides. Back then, Southern governors shipped Black people north with the false promise of jobs and a better life. It's a part of a well-known playbook being brought back to life. So what's next? That's next on the Black Table, a conversation with Dr. Gerald Horne about this issue of the reverse freedom rides, right here on the Black Star Network.
Hello, I'm Jamia Pugh. I am from Coatesville, Pennsylvania, just an hour right outside of Philadelphia.
My name is Jasmine Pugh. I'm also from Coatesville, Pennsylvania.
You are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Stay right here.
House Democrats picked up a seat, decreasing Republican power in the House after last night's victory in New York's 3rd District Special Election. Tom Ciozzi beat Republican nominee Mazi Philip to replace disgraced Republican George Santos, who was indicted for fraud and then expelled from Congress late last year, amid revelations that he fabricated much of his life story. Ciozzi's victory trims the Republican House majority to 219 to 213. That means that if every member is present and voting, the Republican majority can only afford to lose 3 votes on any bill. Ciozzi will only be in Congress until January 3rd, 2025. There will be a primary on June 25th to determine the nominee for the November general election. He's already announced he is running for that seat. No word if Philip is going to be running again. Not only that, Democrats also picked up a win in a special election in Pennsylvania, giving them a 102 to 100 majority in the Pennsylvania House. What's interesting about these races, especially New York, Rebecca, is that all of these polling showed that it was a tight race. It was only 3 to 4 points between the two. It was a blowout. And not only that, what we keep seeing is, again, we see this special election, we see other special elections. The reality is Democrats have been winning. And so you have this narrative that oh my God, Biden and Democrats are in trouble. Yet when you look at what is actually happening in these elections, Democrats are winning. They are crushing Republicans in the suburbs. They are crushing them among college-educated voters. And so what you have is a different narrative being told when you have these media outlets that are so fixated on polls. And in this case right here, all the polls were absolute trash.
You know, this is an example where feelings aren't facts. If you ask me my feelings, I talked to family members yesterday and they asked me who I thought was going to win the White House. And, I was leaning towards what some of these polls say. However, when there's opportunities for Americans to go out and vote, we've seen that Democrats have picked up, I think, almost every special election in the last 18 months. We can even go further back and we can look ever since when Roe v. Wade was overturned by the Supreme Court. And when we look at every special election since then, every ballot measure where abortion access is on the ballot measures where state Supreme Court races are on the ballot, we see that Democrats are picking up a W in the win column, and we see that Republicans and their conservative messaging is losing. So right now, when Americans actually go and vote, they are voting for the Democrats.
Also seeing is this here. You're seeing, and we saw this, there were voters who said last night they voted for the Democratic candidate or the Republican because they were pissed off with Republicans for scuttling a border deal, a border bill. And so, again, I think what Rebecca says is important. You may ask in polls, do you want Joe Biden to run? Overwhelming number, including Democrats, the answer is no. But the reality is he is running. And so what it's going to come down to is, are you going to vote? And if so, who you voting for? That's separate from how you feel.
Absolutely. May I jump in here? Yeah, absolutely. I would say that the indications from this race, from the Tom Suozzi win, also go to the immigration issue, which I think if you look at polls, it seems as if the Republicans would be the stronger party or perceived stronger party on this issue. But Tom Suozzi did not back away from this issue in his campaign ads, in his daily rhetoric, and talking about how they tried to tie him with a problem that he didn't create, neither did Democrats. We had a bipartisan bill that was presented last week in Congress, but who were the folks that rejected it? It was the Republicans. So I think people are waking up to that. I think this race is an indicator that Democrats are not necessarily the losing party when it comes to the topic of immigration. And I also wanted to pay attention, Roland, to who they ran against him. This putting of a person of color in terms of the Republican candidate slate, trying to put someone who doesn't match their typical demographics forward to somehow distract from how they really feel about the issues, I think is something that we're going to see over and over. And the voters need to be very wise and look at where the candidate sits on the issues as opposed to, of course, what they're trying to present, which is a person of color, so that resonates more than how they are going to vote when they get in office.
At the end of the day, what we're looking at here, Robert, is a stark contrast between two parties. We're looking at one party that is completely, positively owned, operated, and controlled by a nutcase MAGA Republican in Donald Trump. You're looking at people, you're looking at individuals who won't move on a border bill. You got Speaker Mike Johnson standing up before the people saying that the special counsel report clearly showed that President Biden broke the law. That's not what the special counsel report says. They've only moved 30 bills through this Congress when normally you move 300. These folks are an absolute joke when it comes to being in leadership.
And that's the point I want to drill down for my friends who are on the further left than many Americans are. Just because President Biden is not the far left progressive candidate you wanted, that does not mean he's not going to win re-election. Right now, if you look at the facts on the ground, President Biden's overlooking the strongest economic recovery going on Earth. I dare anyone to find an economy going better than the United States economy right now. If you look at immigration, Republicans have walked get away from immigration bills. 2005, you have McCain-Kennedy. Republicans walked away. 2013, you have the Schumer Compromise. Republicans walked away. 2015, you had the Obama bill. Republicans walked away. They called it amnesty. 2018, you had Durbin-Rubio. Republicans walked away. That was President Trump's famous S-whole countries comment. 2021, you had the reconciliation bill where they attempted to use that for immigration reform. The Senate parliamentarians said they couldn't put it in because it wasn't a financial bill. Then 2023, you have Republicans walking away from their own bill on the Langford Compromise. They don't want to do anything. If you ask a woman on a date for 20 years and she says no every time for various reasons, she don't want to go. And that's the truth. Republicans want to do nothing on immigration. And I think the American people are seeing that they only want to use this as an electoral football. So stop being so hard on President Biden. He's doing a good job. And let's just allow the Republican Party to continue imploding from the inside out.
Well, part of the thing here, Rebecca, again, and this is what I've always said about Democrats. Democrats have an insane ability to be able to snatch victory out of the jaws of defeat. Democrats could pass a bill that is an important bill that impacts Americans, and what they'll end up doing is they'll get the bill passed, and they will then bitch and moan about what wasn't in the bill. That to me, that's part of the thing. And so I'm always going like, do you know how to actually celebrate a win?
Some people are perpetually, the glass is half empty rather than the glass is half full. Here's the thing. We know the glass exists. We know that in this country, we need to do something with immigration. We know we need to do something to make sure that our borders are secure. And bottom line, if the Republicans don't want to play ball, then the Democrats need to take it to the American people and talk about, hey, if we control the House and the Senate, and if we have the White House, if we have a president who's a willing partner on this immigration issue, this is what we're going to do then in the first 100 days in 2025 to pass an actual immigration reform bill. That's what Democrats ought to be doing as far as messaging with immigration, because whether right or wrong, whether or not people have correct information or incorrect information, we do see that voters are being moved on the immigration issue. And, you know, it also, the Democrats should definitely play offense too, not just on the policy side, but on the political side. Keep showing, especially in swing congressional districts, that Republicans are saying, hey, we will not play ball with the Democrats. We do not want to solve immigration. Our fearful leader, Donald Trump, doesn't want us to do anything because he thinks this is a winning issue for him in November. So Democrats need to play offense on policy, and Democrats need to play offense on the political side of things.
And Suzette, I mean, my whole deal is this, when I say offense, I mean play offense. And you also make it clear. I don't care what Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. Bullshit. When they go low, you bust their ass lower. Okay? Because again, what Democrats got to understand is you're running against a man where there is no bottom. It doesn't exist. There's a thing called the ocean floor. There actually is an ocean floor. Donald Trump has no bottom. So there's no such thing as, you know what, I think I crossed the line. That's his whole deal. That is what this party is going to do. January 6th showed you, if you are running against these type of thugs and you're going to a gunfight, bring a gun. Somebody, Biden, Jamie Harrison, somebody got to say, I'll be your Huckleberry.
Yeah, I do believe on the messaging front, I do not know why Democrats seem so sheepish to tout the major policy wins of this president. It seems as if they're more afraid of the attacks that we've been seeing as of late when it comes to ageism and things like this, and less real and concrete messaging around the wins. There have been some huge once-in-a-lifetime, once-in-a-generation legislation passed that affects not only America as a whole, but Black people in specific when it comes to funding for HBCUs, when it comes to student loan forgiveness, when it comes to the climate change agenda and affecting underserved communities and other major points. I mean, we talked about insulin prices. I'm saying these things over and over again because I don't think the Democrats realize the education gap that has to continuously be filled because the zeitgeist is so bent on pointing out what are the obvious shortcomings of this candidate that they're not quite aware and constantly kind of pushing out the opposing narrative in an effective way so that there is a balance in our social media as well as our traditional news media. They have to talk about wins such as yesterday being a choice of the adults in the room versus those who don't wish to see any progress. How did we get here? Remind them the George Santos saga is what took us to this special election in the first place. So I think once, as we're seeing in these two elections of last night, once people have that choice, they do want the adults in the room. They do want the problem solvers and the people who have the proven track record like this administration over the past 3 years. So it's up to them to get better in terms of the messaging and stand on business when it comes to calling out the Republicans and Mr. Trump for what they haven't done and that danger that they pose for the future of this country.
You know, and look, I was talking about, of course, that scene from Tombstone. Remember, the one guy who challenged Val Kilmer, he was talking all that trash. Well, then when you say, Joe, you want to talk some trash? Bring it. That's literally what this was. Now, I'm sure the YouTube people gonna see them getting mad at us, gonna block this out. But I love the scene, and I mean, I'm telling you, if I'm the Democrat, they had their Democratic caucus meeting last week, Robert, at Lansdowne Resort. Biden spoke. If I'm them, I'm playing this video to say, this is how you do MAGA. You think you gonna punk me? No. We ain't scared of you.
Well. I didn't think you had it in you.
I'm your huckleberry. Why, Johnny Ringo, you look like somebody just walked over your grave.
Fight's not with you, Holiday.
I beg to differ, sir. We started a game we never got to finish. Play for blood, remember?
I was just fooling about.
I wasn't. And this time...
That's what I'm saying, Robert. I was just playing. I wasn't.
Look, Roland, I think we've all bemoaned the fact that the Biden administration, and particularly the Biden campaign, has a press issue. They have an inability to connect with the American people. One thing that Trump did in his administration was stock his cabinet with people he met off TV. Kudlow was the Treasury Secretary. He saw him on Kudlow and Kramer, so he made him Treasury Secretary. Bill Barr did Fox News, so he made him Attorney General.
No. Kudlow was head of the White House Council of Economic Advisors. Go ahead.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry, on Council White House Advisors. My point is he put people into his cabinet that were able to go to the American people and make the case for the MAGA. Think about the economic numbers that Biden had presided over that nobody for some reason knows about. 3.7% unemployment, 353,000 jobs created last month alone. The inflation came in at 3.1%, down from 3.2%. You had a high in 2021 of 9.2% unemployment, and we're down to 3.1%, a 64% decrease. Had 24 consecutive months of unemployment under 4%, first time since World War II. We're talking about 4.4% economic growth and real GDP growth. We have real buying power for American consumers going up. Every single economic indicator says we have the strongest economy that America has had in nearly a century, and by far the strongest economy in the world, at the same time that China, Russia, and the EU are all dying on the vine, and they have nobody to explain that to the American people. So if you go to the grocery store and talk to normal folks, they will swear up and down that we're in a recession, the economy is going bad. Meanwhile, we are in an economic boom that no one knows about because they're not articulating their message to the American people.
Absolutely. And so I'm just trying to explain to people, don't bring a knife to a gunfight. If you're going to a gunfight, bring a bazooka. That's just how I think. Sorry. All right, y'all, got to go to a break. Say it again, Rebecca.
Gun culture.
Hey, America is what it is, And so, since that's how you want to roll, let's go. Let's go. Fine, take out guns. Let's swing. If you're going to swing, swing. All right. We come back. More on Roland Martin Unfiltered, the Black Star Network. Support us in what we do, folks. Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. The goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. You can send your check and money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. I'll be right back.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
An angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
What's up, y'all? This is Wendell Haskins, a.k.a. Win Hogan at the original T-Golf Classic. And you know I watch Roland Martin Unfiltered.
I told y'all how Tennessee Republicans are outside of their damn minds. Well, check this out. Nashville State Representative Justin Jones brought resolutions before the body to honor the Grammy achievements.
Yesterday, I witnessed something that really
to honor the Grammy achievements of Paramore, who won Best Rock Album and Best Alternative Music Performance, and Allison Russell, who picked up her first Grammy for Best American Roots Performance for the song Eve Was Black. They voted yes for Paramore, but shot down the measure for Russell. Jones stood up during the announcements portion of the session and tried to voice his concerns about Russell's proclamation being blocked.
9/11 has been objected to by Chairman Faison.
Lear Lamberth, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have one more motion. I have not conferred with the minority leader on this and do anticipate objection, but I move that House Joint Resolution 911 be referred to calendar and rules.
It's proper motion, probably seconded. All right, we're on the board.
Ayes 73, 23 nays.
House Joint Resolution 911 has been referred to calendar and rules.
I was not planning to stand up today, but I want to make an announcement regarding Black History Month. Happy Black History Month to this body. I want to remind us that Black History Month is happening every day, and that just a few minutes ago, there was a resolution to honor someone who's making Black history. Ms. Allison Russell, who's a friend of myself and Representative Johnson for the past few years.
Jones, that's not an announcement. That's not an announcement. Representative Jones, you have a question or a parliamentary question? Mr. Clerk can answer. Representative Jones.
I would like to finish the announcement.
Well, that wasn't an announcement. That's the issue. So if you want to make an announcement, that's fine, but that wasn't an announcement. Representative Jones.
The announcement is to announce that there are people in our midst who are making Black history, and I want to honor them during this Black History Month, including those who are here in Nashville and in our state of Tennessee who are making Black history every day, who deserve to be honored. And I would like to announce that it's concerning that this body chooses to denigrate or to...
Representative Jones, that's not an announcement again. Sorry, we're moving on. Sorry. Representative Howe.
Russell thanked Jones for trying. She said, thank you. And Rep. Gloria Johnson presented this resolution. Is a high honor. If the Tennessee GOP blocked it, I take it as a compliment. Russell wrote on her social media accounts, their bigotry, sadly, is on relentless display. We have a chance this year to make a real change in Tennessee. Damn, Suzette. I mean, first of all, the absolute easiest thing of any politician is to pass a proclamation. Hold on. I just spoke. I spoke in Ohio on Monday, Columbus East High School. I spoke at the University of Tennessee last night. And this here, I was given this here. This here is from the Assistant Minority Leader, Dontavius Jarrells, on behalf of the House of Representatives of the 135th General Assembly of Ohio. I'm pleased to welcome Roland Martin to the great state of Ohio and the city of Columbus. And it goes on to talk about a variety of things in my career or whatever. And I've got a ton of these from states all around the country, places where I've spoken. I mean, you name it. Tennessee, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama. I mean, I got keys to the city. I got awards all over here. I mean, I got all kind of stuff. These white Republicans are like, nah, damn that. We ain't even gonna pass a proclamation for this black woman.
Yes, Roland, this feels like deja vu. This is the same body. I'd just like to remind our viewers that had the Tennessee Three make national headlines when they decided to expel two young black brothers, Justin Pearson and who we just heard from, Justin Shea Batista Jones. And they did not, during that time, also expelled their colleague, Gloria Johnson. And there was no given reason of any import or substance as to why the disparity. And here we are yet again, looking at something as simple as a proclamation, as you pointed out, mostly just ceremonial in nature, having no a legal potency, right? Just to acknowledge a Tennessean like Miss Russell, who, just like her counterpart, Paramore, won a Grammy. But here we see a body, yet again, who is making some sort of distinction without any kind of credible explanation as to why it seems as if the young artist who happens to be white is okay for the proclamation, but the young artist who happens to be black gets no acknowledgement. It's shameful. It's shameful. And I'm glad Justin Jones tried to make a part of the record there in the Tennessee House that this is wrong and that his fellow legislators are to be held to account. This is not okay. This sets, again, yet another precedent in that state that for some reason, some of its citizens deserve recognition while some of them don't. And we have to make sure we are right alongside him in calling it out.
Here's the deal, Robert. This Jeremy Faison, this Republican, he actually had an issue with it. And the folks of the Tennessee Holler, who do some great work, let's see if I can play this here. They actually caught up with him trying to demand some answers from him. Check this out. Come on, guys, audio, please. Okay, pull up audio, please. Thank you. Here we go.
Hey, Jeremy, what issue did you have with the Allison Russell resolution? What was your problem with that one? What's your problem with Allison Russell, Jeremy? Is it who she is?
Speaking of the devil.
73, 23 nays.
House Joint Resolution.
So he wouldn't even answer the question.
Look, as Maya Angelou said, when somebody tells you who they are, believe them the first time. Tennessee is making it very clear they are not evolving much from the days of William Bedford Forrest when it comes to the legislature there. And I think at this point in time, this doesn't motivate everybody in Memphis, everybody in Nashville to get up and turn out to vote. There are 16.3% of the population of black folks are in that state. If you mobilize, you can make some real action and make some real changes in that state house, so these folks won't feel so comfortable and cavalier to act in this way. But also to my black conservative friends now that I talk to all the time, I've got a bunch of them. When you have these conversations, you say that black folks are basically just making up racism, that it's a thing of the past and that we're still just belly aching about it. These are the types of micro-racist aggressions that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And if this is what they'll do directly in your face, imagine what they're doing in those boardrooms. Imagine what they're doing when they're having those hiring and firing decisions. Imagine what they're doing when they're trying to decide if a highway goes in an empty field or through a black neighborhood, or if they're going to build a dam that destroys a black community around the country. This is just the small microaggressions and racism that black folks have to do every day. And we have people like Nikki Haley saying America's not just isn't a racist country, but has never been a racist country. I would love for her and some of our conservative friends to explain exactly why you have a situation like this and what exactly this woman did wrong to not be qualified. Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens have been saying, well, maybe it's diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's the reason that these people aren't qualified for things, when in reality, they do anything they can to cover up for the white supremacists in this country that still hold political power around this nation.
And the thing here, Rebecca, this is not a question of, oh, well, we're going to support this representative over here when it comes to Paramore, but we're going to ignore Justin Jones. Jones brought up both of the resolutions. So they explicitly said, we going to honor the white person, but damn the black woman.
1 out of 5 black adults in Tennessee are ineligible to vote. 20% of the 16.3% of black folks that Robert referenced are ineligible to vote in Tennessee. And this same legislature is trying to make it harder for black folks to be able to vote. Full stop. This current and even previous Tennessee legislatures are clearly anti-black, i.e. they are racist. They have hostility towards black people. Just like Suzette said, when we saw what happened last year with the Tennessee 3, the 2 people who got expelled were, guess what? Black. The one person who did not get expelled was white. So look, dogs bark, cats meow, racists are racist. And that's what we're seeing with the Tennessee legislature. And by the way, Eve was Black, and scientifically, Black women have the Eve gene.
I'm telling you, I mean, what we see here, folks, from Tennessee Republicans, Tennessee white Republicans, is perfectly clear. They will do all they can to demonize and to destroy Black people. Last night, I spoke at the University of Tennessee, Martin. That is about 2 hours and 40 minutes from Nashville. It's in rural Tennessee. And the Black folks were telling me, they were like, man, it is different here with the white folks here. And let me just be perfectly clear. I let them know exactly what I had to say about a whole lot of issues. And they heard a whole lot of stuff about white folks, about Black folks, about history of this country. I have the video. We're gonna upload that. We're gonna stream that event. Again, I spoke there last night. But that's what has to happen. And I said to them point blank, I said, I need the white folks in this room and those who are watching to understand. Don't call me to come talk to your friends. I need y'all white folk to talk to y'all white folks. That's what has to happen, okay? I said, because what I brought up, I even brought up all the people, all these MAGA white folks and even some Black folks, crazy Megyn Kelly acting a fool, complaining about Lift Every Voice and Sing being sung at the Super Bowl. And even Black conservative Armstrong Williams posted a tweet complaining about that. And even Pastor Darrell Scott was like, are y'all nuts? How y'all complaining about a Christian hymn? And not only that, Lift Every Voice and Sing was literally written for a birthday celebration of Abraham Lincoln. It wasn't until 1919 when the NAACP said that it was the national Black anthem. Uh-oh. What happened in 1919? Something called Red Summer. And what was Red Summer? When Black people were being killed across the country in race riots. It wasn't until 1931 that America adopted the Star-Spangled Banner as a national anthem. But wasn't the Star-Spangled Banner racist? Check out stanza 3. There's a reason why it was dropped. So I love these people, Suzette, and I'm gonna do a round with you, Robert, and Rebecca. I love these people who claim that by singing Lift Every Voice and Sing, we are dividing America. We shouldn't have two anthems. You know what? I'll take you, I will agree with you. We should not have two anthems. Get rid of the racist one. The one written by Francis Scott Key, the Star-Spangled Banner. Plus, Lift Every Voice and Sing is a better damn song anyway. Suzette.
Listen, I was inside of an establishment, and they had everything played out into the restaurant except for the Black National Anthem. We were waiting, and I was left because I thought, wait a minute, we're here to watch the entire program. So even on a local level, that was happening. But nonetheless,
Hold on. No, wait. Now, did they turn it up?
No, they didn't turn it up. We missed the whole thing.
Did y'all get did y'all get in their ass?
No, listen, I don't want to fight, but I did mention to the manager, I did tweet about it, and I did put it out there.
No, Suzette, that's what you got to say. Hey, turn that up. See, dog, you.
It was a packed house.
I don't give a damn how packed it was. How many of y'all were there?
It was just me and my homegirl. It was just two of us.
Shit, that's all you need. All you need is one.
Y'all could get that food for free.
The Bible says where two or more. The Bible says where two or more are gathered. Y'all had
Oh my God, it is. Yes, we did. Well, I did think about writing corporate thereafter, but you're right. In the moment, it was very distressing, actually, just to see that, hey, this also should be broadcast. Nonetheless, I was just looking back, and I'm not a super fan or a historian buff when it comes to the National Football League, but looking at the segregationist history of American football and the NFL, I just think it is more than apropos to acknowledge the roots of who makes up the majority of the people, and for the past folks who were denied opportunities to play that should have been a part of the National Football League. It's just, to me, as poignant as in America the Beautiful that you also pick another song of great significance to a majority of your players and the folks that help to make your sport possible. So I do think this kind of made up controversy about, or I guess to some real, they feel like it actually is some disrespect. But looking at, like you're saying, the history of where it comes from and the reason we need to acknowledge that even this league that we see as black male dominant was once highly segregated and prevented black men.
But this is why. But this is why history matters, Robert. The reason the Super Bowl even exists is because the AFL was recruiting black players left and right, and they were kicking the NFL's behind, and the NFL was like, oh, damn, we can't. They merged. So the first two games, they didn't call it the Super Bowl. But the reason the Super Bowl exists because of the black-white divide. So it's more than appropriate to have Lift Every Voice and Sing Ben Song.
Look, Roland, this goes back to 8th grade civics. There's a difference between a country and a nation. I want everybody to understand that. The reason there are two words, because a country is a geopolitical boundaries in which you can have nations within. A nation is a group of people that have a similar social linguistic background. They share religious values, ethnic background values. They come from the same people. That's why you have Bosnians and Serbians. They look exactly the same. They're different ethnicities. I know we tend to gloss over these things. So a national group, a nation, can have an anthem within that nation. The same way the Cherokee Nation can have an anthem. The same way African Bambaataa and the Zulu Nation can have an anthem. Any nation of people can have an anthem. And when you have a sports league where 70+% of the players are of a particular ethnic background, it only makes sense to play the anthem of that ethnic background prior to the game. Why do I say this? Before the Stanley Cup playoff games, they play the Canadian national anthem, "Oh Canada," because
it's not even just hockey. If you go to an NBA game or a baseball game, and the Canadian teams are playing, their anthem is played.
And that's exactly the point, because when you're recognizing the nationality of the majority of the players or a large portion, it simply makes sense to respect them by playing an anthem which is near and dear to their heritage, to their history, to their socioeconomic and racial and ethnic backgrounds. So the idea that this is somehow a problem is stupid. Secondarily, if you have an issue with them playing the black national anthem at the game, why didn't you say anything about Post Malone singing God Bless America? Because that's a separate anthem. Doesn't that separate people? Are we separating people between God Bless America and America the Beautiful? Can't we just have one? The entire point is that the conservatives do not like the independence of black people. We don't want you kneeling. We don't want you protesting. We don't want you singing no anthem. You get out there, you run that ball, you throw that ball, you catch that ball, and you do a little dance for me. You can entertain me. But when it comes to making real decisions, all I want you for is your entertainment value, not for the actual personhood of you. That's why the book $20 Million Slaves was so important for people to realize.
You mean Bill Rhoton's book, $40 Million Slave? Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Yeah, in the place that we are in America today, when white Americans feel they're losing their grip on their country, they're losing their grip on Bud Light, so they're going to boycott it. They're losing their grip on pop music, so they don't want Taylor Swift at the game. They want to exercise dominion over black people, these black athletes who are richer than them, who are more athletically talented than them, who have more business savvy than them. The only way that they can exercise power is by saying, sit down, don't take a knee, don't protest, don't sing your anthem. All you do is entertain me, and that it gives them this idea that they still have some control in this nation. So I say take every last thing from them, because I don't need your permission to sing my anthem.
A final comment here. Stephen A. Smith did a video where he blasted people for calling Megyn Kelly racist, saying that you take the power out of it when you just assign to everybody. So I'm not going to call Megyn Kelly racist, but I'm going to say she's stupid. I'm going to say she's dumb. I'm going to say she's historically illiterate. and I'm going to say she absolutely is a Karen. Go ahead.
Here's the thing. Run me my reparations. Give me my cash money. Megyn Kelly can say whatever the hell it is that she wants to say. Because at the end of the day, the Megyn Kellys of the world are the people who probably owe me reparations. So bottom line, say what you want to say. However anthem do you want? Just run me my reparations. Because at the end of the day, we saw that the whole Super Bowl was the height of hypocrisy. We saw "End Racism" printed, painted in big letters at the end of each end zone. But it's also ironic, this is the same league that colluded against Kaepernick. So at the end, we even take a step further and say the only reason why him taking a knee was even a problem is because the U.S. government was giving the NFL millions of dollars to run pro-military placements through televised NFL games. So at the end of the day, all of this is about money anyway. So since this is about money, run me my reparations.
There you go. All right, folks, got to go to break. We come back. We're going to talk about the anti-hate Super Bowl ad that was featured starring Clarence B. Jones, the longtime attorney for Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He joins us next. I'm sure he got some thoughts about the whiny complaints of the right when it comes to lift every voice and sing. You're watching Roland Martin right here on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us.
We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is RolandSMartin.com.
Next on The Frequency with me, Dee Barnes, the amazing Drew Dixon.
She gives us the details behind the HBO documentary that shed light on the alleged sexual assaults by Russell Simmons.
And we're talking about the Netflix documentary, Ladies First, right here on The Frequency on the Black Star Network.
Hey, yo, what's up? This is Mr. Dalvin right here. What's up? This is KC. Sitting here representing the JODECI, that's Jodeci, right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. He was an advisor and attorney to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., played a crucial role not only in the writing of the speech, Normalcy No More, oh, you know that as the I Have a Dream speech, but also making sure that he got trademarked. On Sunday, Dr. Clarence Jones was in the spotlight in a Super Bowl commercial speaking out about the evils of racism and anti-Semitism.
Sometimes I imagine what I'd write today for my dear friend Martin. I remind people that all hate thrives on one thing: silence. The people who will change the nation are those who speak out, who refuse to be bystanders, who raise their voices against injustice. When we stand up to silence, we stand up to all hate.
All right, folks, that $7 million ad ran during the game. The latest book of Clarence B. Jones, Last of the Lions. He joins me now from Palo Alto, California. Clarence, good to see you.
Hey, buddy.
You're 93 years young.
Oh, baby. Hey, I hear you. You know why the last of the lions is that there's a Nigerian expression that says, if the surviving lions don't tell their stories, the hunters will get all the credit.
You're absolutely right. And we also know, especially when it comes to anything dealing with the Black Freedom Movement, Dr. King, there's a whole bunch of people out here been claiming credit of doing stuff, and they were nowhere to be found or seen.
Oh, but I listened to your earlier discussion. I could not agree with more. You know, we have to, the bottom line is that we as Black people, this nation owes us. We built, I don't want to take valuable time. I'm not.
No. First of all, it's my show, so we got time. Go ahead.
I don't want to. I'm appreciative, but I'm listening to you and I'm listening to your guests. Of course. Like some beautiful lady kept saying, "Give me my reparations." That's me, because we built this country. I repeat it. We built America. We built the economy upon which the subsequent major industrial base of this country was able to be successful, based on the institution of slavery. They can't pay us enough money. When I hear somebody quibbling over reparations, Nikki Haley she's not qualified. If a person doesn't know the cause of the Civil War, that person needs not even, he wants to be the president of the United States. It's an insult to the average intelligence, not just of Black people, but of everybody.
But Clarence, it's avoidance. But Clarence, it's avoidance. The reason she did that is because you can't talk about that on the Republican side. And so versus being real, versus being truthful and honest, they don't want to do that. So she would rather placate them by, oh no, it's about, I wasn't thinking about slavery. I was thinking about us going forward and freedom.
I mean, can you believe that? And I listened to your earlier discussion. You know, I don't know how we endured so long having the Francis Scott Key's national anthem, because it's a racist song. Okay, it's a song. If you look at the lyrics carefully, okay, it's a song that celebrates the legacy and the triumph of slavery over freedom.
Well, perfect example. So last night when I was at the University of Tennessee, Martin, I brought up when I was watching the Texas A&M South Carolina football game this past year, and the announcers were talking about a certain trophy that was created to give to the winner. And so when Texas Governor Rick Perry, Republican, was in office, what he did was he commissioned for this trophy to be made. And the thing that's interesting about this particular trophy is that they decided to name the trophy after a South Carolinian. And this particular South Carolinian helped Texas fight at the Alamo. Now, when you listen to a lot of these people talk about the Alamo, and they talk about, remember the Alamo, and in Texas, born and raised, everything was about, no, the Alamo was about freedom. The Alamo was about.
Really?
And then, so you're watching this whole deal, and so here you have this trophy that he has made. And so when they were discussing it during the game, my crazy self don't really care, Clarence. I tweeted, not damn Black person should even touch that damn trophy, because it's named after a man who came there to fight for Texas to keep slavery. The battle at the Alamo wasn't about, when they say Texas freedom, yes, it was for freedom against Mexico, because Mexico was abolishing and outlawing slavery, and every person at the Alamo who got killed was fighting for slavery. That's why I said, get rid of that damn trophy.
Come on, preach to me, brother, preach to me. Tell the truth.
That's what I told him.
This is why I'm so glad, by the way, that you have your show, and you've structured it in which you have a financial independence, and you can just say what you want to say and put on the air whom you ever want to put on the air. The problem we're having, Roland.
Hey, Clarence, hold on 1 second. So your camera, move your camera down, because your camera,
okay.
Yeah, we're getting half. There we go. There you go, right there. All right, now go right ahead.
Sorry.
Continue with your comment.
Yeah, the problem is, Roland, is that it's just telling the truth. And we can't, and the problem that we have had as black people, we haven't had the access.
There you go.
We haven't had the media. We haven't owned sufficient amounts of media in order to tell our stories. We've been dependent on someone else's media to tell our stories. And so I just want to salute you and your team. And you just confirm, of course, I don't know how long we've known one another a long time, but you've been following the drinking gourd a long time, brother. And I'm so proud of you because you tell it like it is. You tell it like it is. And we need, if there was, it's too bad that there's only one Roland Martin because we need about 10 of them.
Well, we're trying to, look, when we launched this network, we're trying to create them. That's one of the reasons why I'm trying to kick as much butt as possible with these advertisers because that's where the money comes from. This is no different than the fight that John H. Johnson had, no different than the one that Earl Graves had, no different than the one that Robert Abbott and others had. And what I'm trying to get our people to understand is to listen to what Dr. King said on April 3rd, 1968 at Mason Temple when he said for us not to do business with people who do not want to do business with black people. He name-checked companies not to support.
It's not complicated.
It's not.
It's not complicated. And God knows they ought to build, like somebody ought to build a statue someday to Colin Kaepernick. You know, that brother. I loved Harry Belafonte. I mean, I loved him but I especially loved him in the latter part of his life because he put his arms around Colin Kaepernick and tried to help him as much as possible. The NFL is one of the most shameful periods in the league's history, the way they treated that young man.
We're going to go to a break. We come back. We're going to talk more. We're going to first talk about why you participated in the Super Bowl ad with regards to anti-hate and anti-Semitism. We'll also talk about your book as well. Folks, we're talking to Clarence B. Jones, attorney, advisor to Dr. King. We're going to continue that conversation next, right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Get wealthy. Did you know that the majority of households headed by African American women don't own a single share of stock? No wonder the wealth gap continues to widen. Next on Get Wealthy, you're going to hear from a woman who decided to change that.
Have been blessed with good positions, good pay. But it wasn't until probably in the last couple of years that I really invested in myself to get knowledge about what I should be doing with that money and how to productively use it.
Right here on Get Wealthy on Black Star Network.
Hey, it's John Murray, the executive producer of the new Sherry Shepherd Talk Show.
This is your boy, Earthquake.
And you're tuned in to
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Folks, welcome back. We're talking to Dr. Clarence B. Jones, attorney. He was advisor for Dr. King. He has a new book out, Last of the Lions. Clarence, you were in that Super Bowl ad on Sunday. Why did you decide to participate?
I decided to participate because while the ad initially I think was conceived to be directed towards speaking out against anti-Semitism, as I looked at the text and as I looked at the people as they were trying to form the message, I said, "No, hold on now." I said, "The greatest problem we have in racism and anti-Semitism, the greatest problem we have is silence. The greatest problem we have, people know damn well they see racism, they hear it, and they don't do anything about it. So the greatest problem we have, we got to confront people and say, you cannot be quiet in the face whether it's anti-Semitism, whether it's anti-LGBTQ, against LGBTQ people, against black people. Silence is unacceptable. Silence is unacceptable. When you see it's wrong, say it's wrong. Do something about it. Because silence in the face of obvious racism amounts to complicity, tacit complicity. It means if you don't say anything, you must approve it.
The thing that...
And I don't...
Yep, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No. So I try to articulate the issue that silence in the face of obvious racism, anti-Semitism, homophobic, and so forth is as bad or worse than the actual words or active racism itself.
And the thing was interesting to me here is when we talk about hate. When I spoke last night at the University of Tennessee Martin, when I made clear to the white folks who were in attendance, I said, y'all are in places I'm not. Y'all are in family gatherings and country clubs and in rooms that I'm not. While you need to be the one, if somebody makes a particular statement that you know is foul and it's racist or it's sexist, you need to be the one saying something
they have
right
to
there.
speak up.
I said, I can't be there. I said, you have got to say something and do something.
That's right. That's right. So that's essentially, I mean, silence is complicity. Silence is complicity. Silence means that if you don't say anything, you approve it.
And in fact,
you had an opportunity to oppose and you did nothing.
In fact, when you talk about the silence, when you talk about that particular point there, and let's talk about, we take the NFL. I mean, here's their biggest game, obviously, of the year. And for the last 2 years, Jim Trotter, actually the previous 2 years, Jim Trotter, who worked for the NFL Network, publicly challenged Roger Goodell, the commissioner, about the few black staffers that work for the NFL Network. Well, last year, they decided not to renew Jim Trotter's contract. So every year, Goodell has a news conference at the Super Bowl. And out of all of those journalists there, only one journalist, a brother, decided to stand up and follow in the footsteps of Jim and challenge the NFL commissioner on this issue. I'm going to play for you the question, but the thing that stands out to me the most is none of those other journalists thought about it, was going to say anything, but thank goodness this one brother, knowing full well that they did not renew Jim's contract, actually dared to question Goodell. Listen.
Look, I know I'm out of Kansas City. I've had dreams of maybe working for the NFL Network one day, but... I'm sorry. When I say I'm out of Kansas City, so I've had dreams of working for the NFL Network one day, but be that as it may, I know that you don't run the NFL media newsroom, but you do run the NFL, and they answer to you along with the 32 owners. As of this press conference, the NFL media newsroom still employs 0 black managers, 0 black copy editors, 0 full-time black employees on the news desk, and your only full-time black employee, Larry Campbell, passed away over the weekend. Now, Mr. Trotter, Jim Trotter, was not here, for whatever reason. Over the last few years, has asked you why that is the case. And for a league that has more than 60% African Americans that play the game, and I know that you're a man of conscience, how does knowing this sit well with you, and after 2 years of being asked this question, why has it not been any change or any hirings in that area?
Well, I disagree completely with you. There hasn't been any change. I'm happy to get your data and share it with our people and make sure that we get an answer for you. I don't have all the data. I will tell you that the first time ever, 51% of our employees across the league, across the network, across all of our media platforms, not including players, are either people of color or women. First time ever. So progress is being made. And there are areas where we still need to work and we still need to improve, whether it's offensive assistants or maybe people in our media newsroom.
Here's one of those cute things that he just tried to do there, Clarence. And this is and look, y'all experienced the same game when you were there with Dr. King. When folks would sit here and go, he goes, well, 51% of folks are people of color or women. Well, first of all, when you say women, you really mean white women. Because if you're a black woman, you in the people of color category. If you're a Latina, you in the people of color category. So I would then want to say, and this is how I would have followed up, Commissioner, well then please tell me, what is the percentage of the people you're talking about? How many of the percentage of the people are people of color and how many are women? White women. What's the number? Or is it 40% of the 51, is it majority of the people are women? But not only that, so NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists, dropped a letter. I had a problem with the timing of it. It took place on Friday night, where they called out the NFL for their poorest numbers. And the thing that jumps out into demanding a meeting. And I've made clear to NABJ leadership that it needs to be a very aggressive tone, if you will, in terms of how we go. Here's the press release right here. And this is a perfect example as you're talking about. It's silence. And what has to happen is, what the NFL cannot do is sit here and go, oh, we've got black players. We play Lift Every Voice and Sing, and we've got Usher performing at halftime. And, you know, Jay-Z is organizing the music, and all that's great. But that's not the case when the brother laid out. And we know the numbers in NABJ. The numbers are real. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And the reality is 32 owners, including one of them who paid for that commercial that you're in, Robert Kraft, they actually run the league. So if they want to sit here and be real, then he has to say, stop playing games. Why do they have 0 black people in leadership positions in the NFL network, which is media?
Hello. That's a very appropriate question. Very appropriate question. It needs an answer yesterday. Not now, yesterday.
You've, something that you understood, because your previous book, a lot of people may not know this. Panel, also get ready for your questions. A lot of people may not know this. You were having a nice life. Things were great. Things were wonderful. And Dr. King came and talked to you in L.A. And you were like, nice guy, but man, listen, I got a nice career. Things are going well. And then the next day he gave a speech, and he called out the professional class of black people. And you said, man, it felt like he was talking directly to me, looking at me, and challenging me, and that's what led you to get involved. And Clarence, what drives me crazy today is that the work that you and Dr. King and all the other folks involved, and then following Reverend Jackson, and again, the advocacy of John H. Johnson and Butch Graves. And Clarence, we got black people sitting on boards of directors today. We got black people sitting in C-suites today who, what you just said, they are silent. They say many of them there are getting their check and their money.
There's no sense being there if you're not going to exercise the power. There's no sense being there and being silent, not exercising the power. Because silence in the face of obvious racism is complicity, period.
And I tell them, it's not about you getting a check and you sending your kids to private school. It's about you being there to make sure that we are getting access to the billions of dollars that are flowing out of these companies. And I've even challenged ELC, the Executive Leadership Council. I said, y'all had your big dinners and 4,000 black people dressed in tuxedos, but you know what, Clarence? Most of them are losing their jobs when they hit 55. And they're getting laid off. And so we've got to have a
That's why we need you, Roland. That's why we need your independence. That's why we need your network and people like you. There's hardly a day that I don't wake up and I think about John Johnson. I knew John very well. And when I look at all these ads on television, I often think of him when I put, boy, I wonder what John would say. when you would look at the ads on television. You hardly see an ad that doesn't have some person of color or some in it. And that didn't happen accidentally. That happened because of the power, the political power of Martin Luther King Jr. and the coalition of people who worked with him. And that included, let's get the record straight, that included a significant segment of the Jewish community who supported us. I'll let the record speak for itself.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Questions first, Rebecca.
Dr. Jones, it's such an honor to speak with you tonight. So I've been having a debate with many people in my generation. Can you walk us through and explain the difference between desegregation versus integration? And what was it that you all were trying to accomplish? Were you all trying to accomplish desegregation, or were you all trying to accomplish integration?
No, we were trying to accomplish we were trying to accomplish getting rid of those barriers, which would enable our people to participate at all levels in all forms in the exercise of their talent. That's what we were trying to do. We were trying to get rid of the barriers that would enable our people to flourish. Our people, you know, we constituted, 12% of the population. And we recognized that we couldn't do it alone. That's why we reached out to our brothers and sisters in the Jewish community who would understand what we're trying to do. It all came down to a question of power. If you have the power, you can do it. If you don't have the power, you can't do it.
Absolutely. Robert. Robert, you're muted.
Thank you so much for all your knowledge and wisdom. And I for the people who talk about age or when it comes to our elected officials, I want to point them towards you to say that there are plenty of people who are still fully able to lead this country, and we many of us need to sit down and listen more as opposed to trying to shuffle people out the door. I've had this conversation with people for the last couple months about the way that the conservatives have started co-opting much of Dr. King's language, much of Dr. King's teachings, and then perverting it to their own causes. I saw Marco Rubio the other day.
Absolutely. They know.
Clarence, go ahead.
Oh, please. It's obscene. I mean, to put Dr. King's words in Marco Rubio's mouth of any conservative, it's obscene. I mean, you know, you don't have to have a PhD in the speech or history. It's just obscene. All you have to do is look at the history of the person who's trying to co-opt the message.
Robert, go ahead.
Absolutely. And my point behind it is they use the one line out of the I Have a Dream speech, color the skin, content of their character. They kind of run with that. No. Can you talk about what the actual meaning of that speech was for people who've never actually read or listened to all 1,600 words of it?
Oh, let me tell you something. You get to, how many times have I listened? I want my kids to be judged by the content of their character, by the color of their skin. He was talking within the context of the history of this country and slavery. So they take that word out, they take that segment out of the speech and say, oh, you see, Dr. King is talking about a colorblind society. No, he wasn't. Dr. King, he was talking about a society that was very conscious of color. It just didn't want color to have a political consequence on the power you could exercise.
Suzette?
Yes, Dr. Jones, it's a pleasure. I wanted to ask you about your work with the organization Spill the Honey, and the group that seems to work on behalf of Black and Jewish solidarity. It seems as since the Hamas attack on Israel, there is a generational divide among African Americans about the nature of our support for what I would make a distinction of Jewish people and the Israeli government. And I do think there is some education gap when it comes to, as you just stated, there was a working of Jewish people alongside Black people hand in hand. And I was just watching CBN News, and they quoted you as saying that there would never have been a civil rights movement or even landmark legislation in civil rights if we, as Black people in the United States, did not have the support of Jewish people in the movement. For those who are not familiar with that history, Yes, and so I know we can't give
a historical fact. That is a historical fact. I'm sorry, that is a historical fact. It's the power. It's the power of the 12% of the population. We then black folks, Negroes, and the alliance that we were able to forge with a significant segment of the Jewish community that was able to develop a power base that enabled, in this case, President Johnson, to give him the spine to pass the legislation, civil rights legislation, the first since 1964, and then the voting rights legislation in 1965. It was that alliance. I mean, we can't dispute the facts that were the actual facts. The actual facts were that there was indeed an extraordinary alliance between 12% of the population, and I don't know what Jews within 4% of the population, but the fact of the matter is that alliance between the black community and significant segments of the Jewish community turned this country around. I mean, I can't change those facts. Those are the facts.
So, Clarence, but what we're seeing right now, when we look at what's happening between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, you've got a significant number of young people, black, white, Latino, others, who are angry with the response of Israel. They are angry with President Joe Biden and his administration. Mm-hmm. And then you have folks who are Jewish are saying, wait a minute, how are you not defending us? But then you have black folks, young black people saying, hey, wait a minute, we understand the oppression of the Palestinians coming from Israel. And so you have a divide. You have a real divide. And a lot of these young people saying, I might not vote. And many of them say, I am not going to vote for President Biden because of his position on this. So if you are, how would you mediate this, negotiate this, or what would you say to both sides on this issue?
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with an issue because the simple fact of the matter is there is no question that the attack on Israel, October 7th, was an extraordinary attack of barbarity. Now, the fact that happens doesn't obscure or send it to the garbage bag the important issue of still resolving the issue so that there is a viable two-state solution. Okay, I don't pretend to be an expert on Israel-Palestinian relationships, but I know this, and everybody knows it. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. There can be no peace in Israel. There can be no peace in Israel unless there's a peaceful settlement with the Palestinians, period. You don't need a PhD. You don't need 1,000 books to talk about it. It's a simple historical fact.
But then you have a Netanyahu who has rejected a two-state solution. Then you have...
excuse me, is Netanyahu going to determine the policy of the United States? Is Netanyahu going to determine what are we? Netanyahu could be who he was. I have my own personal feelings about Netanyahu, and I will keep them to myself because I don't want your network to be called off the air.
Well, I can tell you right now, the network won't be called off the air because when you own it, again, the only person who can fire me is God.
Hello. Anyway, Netanyahu is a distraction. We don't want to go down that road of Netanyahu or not Netanyahu. The question is, what's in the best interest of the United States? And what's in the best interest of the United States is to bring peace eventually to Israel. And I'm suggesting that there will be no peace unless there's a two-state solution. Now, that's my personal opinion. People can disagree with me.
And one of the things that's interesting, I've heard people say, I've heard folks who are in supportive of Israel's position say, "Oh, Dr. King will be standing with us." And then you have others who are saying, "Wait a minute, Dr. King was real clear about his position on war." Go ahead.
It offends me when people try to preempt and try to pigeonhole Dr. King to support their particular position. Okay? Dr. King's unequivocal support for the Jewish community is a matter of record. I don't have to defend it. It needs no defense, okay? And to try to pollute that record by pushing it in a certain direction to satisfy those people who want to support Israel's action or want to support those people opposed to Israel action, I won't be drawn into that. I won't permit his legacy to be besmirched by that.
But he was a person who absolutely was adamant against war.
Oh, without question. Without question. You don't have to be right. I mean, please. You know that, Roland. You know that. And by the way, every white person, black person, Jewish person, a non-Jewish person who listen to this discussion, they know it too.
We have this is an election year. There are choices to be made. There are people who say they may sit it out. You've got African Americans who say they have growing discontent with the Democratic Party. You got people who are saying Joe Biden's too old, and then you got an absolute insurrectionist who Republicans are fully embracing. There's somebody sitting out there right now who says, you know what, both parties are the same. I don't care. I'm just going to sit this one out. It doesn't matter. My life really won't change if Trump gets elected, if Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House. What do you say to that person?
I say, whatever your political choice is, it is obscene, particularly for a black person. It would be absolutely obscene. All the blood and suffering and toil that went into getting the voting rights bill, all of the blood, toil, and sweat that enabled us to change this country, and you're going to tell me you don't like the choices because you're going to sit there? That's not an option. The option is, remember Martin Luther King Jr., remember John Lewis, remember Andrew Goodman. Remember all of those people who didn't give their lives were taken from them as they struggled to enable us to have a better country. So I cannot quietly say I'm not going to do anything. I have to vote. I have to vote. Now, the last person, I have not yet seen a perfect candidate. Now, the last perfect candidate I know, he was crucified at the age of 39 and he died on the cross. And he allegedly walked on water. Now, I don't know of anybody currently or recently that has those qualities. So I don't know what is called a, quote, perfect political person. So I by admission, I'm going to vote for an imperfect person because he's not Lord Jesus.
I do have a final question, and I thought about this. It literally just hit me. This is a final. I'm like a Baptist. I'm looking at you. This is like a Baptist preacher. Brother. This is the final question. Well, the final question right now, because my assistant is making the flight stuff right now, so I'm coming to see you on February 24th. Before I go to LA, I'm coming to see you in person.
All right, brother.
You have these conservatives who are attacking Dr. King. They're bringing up this article that David Garrow wrote based upon these transcripts. There are tapes that are going to be released in 2027. And you got people like Charlie Kirk who are like, oh, this man was a moral failing, and they're talking about all these different things. And when somebody asked me, I said, let me be perfectly clear. I said, I absolutely believe nothing from anything from the FBI and COINTELPRO. They were evil, they were sadistic, and I trust nothing from them. But the reality is, when these tape audio recordings are going to be released in 3 years, it is going to cause a lot of discussion, dissension among lots of people. In these recordings, they claim about orgies. They claim a woman had been raped in Dr. King's presence, and he laughed. They claim all sorts of things. And so, again, just say if we put a time capsule.
Let me interrupt.
If we put time capsule in 27, how would you respond? What would your response be when these tapes come out?
Blasphemous garbage. Martin King was no saint. He had his imperfections, okay? I stake my political and moral reputation. Anybody who says that Dr. King would what? Would participate and see a woman be raped? I mean, please say that in my presence. I'll slap you down. You know, and I know I'm committed to nonviolence, so I have to slap you down nonviolently.
I got to see what that looked like. Clarence, it's always a pleasure. Y'all pull the book up, Last of the Lions. You want to get this book, folks.
Hey, buddy, I
by
love
Clarence Jones. Clarence, I love you. I will see you in a couple of weeks. I will come by the house.
All right.
And look forward to having a face-to-face conversation. It's been a while. I think the last time, matter of fact, it's been 6 years. We were there in 2018 for the 50th anniversary of Dr. King's assassination. That's the last time we saw each other. All right.
Right.
You take
Good luck. I love you. So admire you. Keep on keeping on, brother.
I appreciate it. Love you as well. You take care. All right,
Thank
folks. That is Clarence Jones, an amazing, amazing man, 93 years old, and still he is on the wall fighting for us. We come back, time for Tech Talk. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star.
On a next, A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie. What does it mean to actually have balance in your life? Why is it important and how do you get there? A masterclass on the art of balance. It could change your life.
Find the harmony of your life. And so what beat can you maintain at a good pace? What cadence can keep you running that marathon? Because we know we're going to have high levels, we're going to have low levels, but where can you find that flow, that harmonious pace?
That's all next on A Balanced Life on Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us.
We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible.
Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com.
Next on the Black Table with me, Craig Carr. Immigrants lured off Texas streets and shipped to places like Martha's Vineyard and Washington, D.C. Believe it or not, we've seen it all before.
You people in the North, you're so sympathetic to black people, you take them.
60 years ago, they called it the reverse freedom rides. Back then, Southern governors shipped black people north with the false promise of jobs and a better life. It's a part of a well-known playbook being brought back to life. So what's next? That's next on the Black Table, a conversation with Dr. Gerald Horne about this issue of the reverse freedom rides, right here on the Black Star Network.
Hello, I'm Marissa Mitchell, a news anchor at Fox 5 DC.
Hey, what's up? It's Tammy Roman, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Georgia County is launching an innovative program that will revolutionize the job market by providing a gateway for folks to get into the field of artificial intelligence. The Chatbot Engineer Academy is a unique 4-week program focusing on no-code chatbots development, pretty cool, prompt engineering, job readiness, and entrepreneurship. The Academy breaks down barriers to the tech industry for people who do not have a college degree or prior coding experience. Joining me now from Lawrenceville, Georgia, is the founder of Chatbot Engineer Academy, Audrey Bell-Kearney, and the president of the Gwinnett Women's Chamber of Commerce. So, Audrey, glad to have you here. So, where did this idea start? Where did it come from to go from idea to fruition?
Well, thank you for having me, Roland. One of the things I had did was I am the president of the chamber, and I was working on a project for me and two of my business partners, and I was programming a chatbot, I call it a superbot, and it was for women or people who were 50 plus who wanted to go into entrepreneurship. But here's the thing, like if you are an entrepreneur yourself and somebody wants to get into entrepreneurship, there's a lot that goes with that, right? So what I decided to do was create this superbot to help people start to figure out whether or not they really want to be an entrepreneur. So if you're 50 plus, a lot of times it's like, you know what, I'm trying to retire. I'm not really trying to do this. Or you may think that, you know what, this is like a hobby, something like that. So you go through the chat bots, you go through Coach Ed, and Coach Ed asks you some really strong questions like, you know, do you have a support system in place? You know, what happens when the grandkids want to come over? So it asks really strong questions. And after I got finished programming the chat bot, I was like, wait a minute, that was pretty simple. You know, I'm the president of this chamber. There are people out there who can use this technology. And I thought about this is something that we can share with the communities, not just in our community here in Gwinnett County, but communities around the world. So, and it's so simple to get started. It's not hard. You don't need to have technical skills. You don't need to go to college. And so that's where it all came from.
No, Robert has to leave. Robert, what's your question?
Just how, particularly for getting directly into this, how do people find more information? How do people sign up? Because I'm texting my niece right now because she sounds like she needs to be involved in this right now. She's right there in McDonough, Mackenzie. So you're going to be finding some more information about this.
You can go to chatbotengineeracademy.com and you can find out more information there.
So, first of all, for the person who doesn't know, what the hell is Chatbot?
So chatbots actually came out in 1966, Roland. A lot of people don't know that. So the first chatbot was named Eliza. It was 1966 it came out. We thought that it just came out in 2023 when 2022 when ChatGPT came on the scene. But when you think about it, if you got a smartphone, like I have an Apple phone, Siri's on there, that could be a chatbot. You have an Alexa in your house, that could be a chatbot. So it's a smart artificial intelligence that learn from human beings, and then it give us back the content that we have fed into it.
And that's the point there that like people keep asking me, am I concerned about AI, replacing what I do? I said no. I said because what you got to understand is it is taking existing information, but it's not creating new information. Now, some say, oh, no, it's creating new, but it's not. So the reality is let's say somebody wanted to, whether it's chatbot or AI, and an issue comes up, and so they then scour all the information out there and then assemble what my position is on that issue. Well, guess what? What that damn chatbot or AI can't do is realize I might change my mind. Right. So folks have to understand when we're talking about artificial intelligence, what it can and cannot do. And like, for instance, there's some things, like some believe artificial intelligence is going to take over the world. Let's be real clear. Chatbot and AI cannot unclog your toilet. You're going to have to call a plumber.
Well, wait a minute now. You might have a robot that can come and unplug your toilet.
No, but that's a robot. But you still going to have to call somebody.
Somebody, you will.
You ain't going to be hopping on Google and just think you can figure. So my point is, there are a lot of jobs that you still are going to have to sit here. And again, you can sit here and say, well, yeah, I'm going to call a robot, but can that robot crawl under that house? See, it's a lot of, again, I'm trying to get people to understand that stop freaking out on this notion that this is going to take over everything and everywhere. It's not.
It's not going to take over, but I think what most people need to understand is they need to get ahead of the game. It's not going to take over everything. Will it replace some jobs? Absolutely, it will. But here's the thing, it's creating just as many jobs. But you have to be ahead of the game. You have to know how to use the technology in order for that to happen for you.
Suzette?
Yes, I love the direction you're taking this, my sister. It reminds me of some pioneers from here in Miami, Felicia Hatcher, the founder of Black Tech Week, Cam Ward, the founder of Black Men in Tech. And so I wanted to ask you if you see this as a model for possibly bringing it outside of Gwinnett County. And also, I'm just curious about these entry-level positions, or it sounds like there's a low barrier to entry, forgive me, to getting into your program. It's only 4 weeks, but I'm curious as to what the jobs will look like. So those are the two parts there. Other people doing what you're doing, and is it going to serve as a model? And then what kind of jobs are we talking about?
I really hope it does start become a model for communities around the United States and abroad, because it is a low barrier to entry. Now, here's what people need to know: you will not get the job that's $300,000 coming out the gate, because this is no code. This does not replace raw code. You still, if you want to advance to the $200,000 and $300,000, you're gonna have to learn Java. You're gonna have to learn JavaScript. You're gonna have to learn Python. But if you want to get your feet wet, you want to get in the game without having to learn all those things right out the gate, then you take a no-code platform and you build on top of that platform. So right now, if you have the tech background in JavaScript and you got, Python training and things like that, you can come out the gate swinging, making around $90,000 to $120,000, and that's across the national average. Here in Gwinnett County, that average is about $85,000. So when you think about it that way, those are high-profile, high-paying jobs. But if you are entry level, you don't have a college degree, you just want to do something different, you want to make a difference in your life, you want to do a career change, you're probably looking at around $50,000 to $60,000. Now, here's the thing. I see this from two perspectives. I see it from the perspective of you getting a job, but I also see it from the perspective of you starting a side hustle, just because there are a lot of small businesses out there and solopreneurs who just don't have the time to learn the technology, nor do they want to. So that's an opportunity for you to become something like a fractional chatbot engineer for a bunch of small businesses. Now you are an independent contractor working for a group of small businesses, helping them out, helping them become more productive while you learn and grow. My other passion and hope is that people who take this first step, they go on to take bigger steps. So now we can keep it going. You can keep learning. You can keep educating yourself, and so you can get to those high-paying jobs, $300,000. When ChatGPT first came out, there was a company that had a $335,000 salary, right? $35,000 salary. That's far and few. That's not the norm. That was right out the gate. Is that going to last? Maybe, maybe not. But right now, the average is around 90,000 to like 125. I didn't hear you, Martin.
No, I said Rebecca.
Oh.
So can you tell us, like, if I'm just looking to have a side hustle, make a little extra money, how can I use AI to make a little extra money? Especially as people are taking on second jobs, like with Uber or DoorDash, doing deliveries, like in our gig economy. Is there a way to use AI to make that extra money?
Absolutely. So there are small businesses out there right now who just don't have the time to learn the tech. They don't want to, but they want to be more productive. They want to automate some systems. And this is a great opportunity for someone like you to say, you know what? Let me start this side hustle. Let me help out small business in my community. Let me go in there and help them create these workflows that's going to automate their emails, their blog posts, their sales outreach, their lead generation. That's what you can do with these tools. So you put them all together and you make them work together. So that's a side hustle for you. Now, ChatGPT has a GPT store, right? Kind of like back in the day when you first got your iPhone or your Android phone, there was an app store, and everybody put an app in the app store. Well, ChatGPT now has a GPT store. I think I've built 8 GPTs on the store. They're saying that when people use your GPT, you're going to start to earn revenue from that. Now, to build a GPT, depending on how complex it is on ChatGPT, it could take you anywhere from 5 minutes to 25 minutes, and you have a full-blown GPT. That could be another side hustle for you. So, and it's really simple to do. You just got to have a paid subscription to ChatGPT that's $20 a month. So there's so many things that you can do from that. Not only that, you may want to think about what you want to create for your own self. Like when I used it, I created an artificial coach. I named the coach Coach Ev, right? That's my mother's name. She passed away in 2021, but I named it after her, Coach Ev. And so when people go to Gen X University, before they can even talk to the coaches, they go through Coach Ev, answer a series of questions, and then they move on to the coach if they decide that's what they want to do. Now, for them to move on to the culture, now there's another side hustle that somebody can, have. So it's so many things that you can do with that.
So Audrey, all right, for folks out there that are trying to get more information, where do they go?
You can go to chatbotengineeracademy.com.
Chatbotengineeracademy.com. All right, well, we surely appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let me thank my panel. I appreciate all of you being with us today. Suzette, Rebecca, Robert as well. Appreciate it. Y'all have a great one. Folks, don't forget, support us in what we do by joining our Bring the Funk fan club. Your resources are critically important. You can join by sending your check and money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered, PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Be sure to download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV with close to 100,000 downloads. Y'all, come on, let's hit that 100. Oh, by the way, everybody on YouTube, hit the damn like button, y'all. We should easily be at 1,000 likes. Y'all taking too long. Let's go. Also, be sure to check us out, 24-hour streaming channel out, available on various platforms. Amazon News by going to Amazon Fire. You can tell Alexa to play news from the Black Star Network. You can also go to Plex TV, Amazon Freevee, Amazon Prime Video. Also, be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available at bookstores nationwide. Go to Audible to get the audio version of the book as well. Folks, tomorrow I'll be in Indianapolis for the NBA All-Star Game weekend. Look forward to that. Greg Carr is going to be sitting in the chair tomorrow, Candace Kelly on Friday. But I will be, of course, sending content back. And so I might pop in live on the show. So don't be surprised if that happens. And so if I see you, just let me know if y'all going to be in Indianapolis. I'll see you. Oh, by the way, hold up. Let me do this here. Last night, let me see if I pull it up. Again, I spoke at UT Martin. Had a great time there. And why is her name escaping me? But I'm going to show her. Okay, so one of our fans, she showed up last night. Okay, come on now. Screen mirror is taking way too long. Let's see here. Did I turn Wi-Fi off? I want to show it. I want to show it. She rolled up to the speech, rocking one of the shirts. Okay, here we go. Hold on one second. Turn the Wi-Fi back on. All right, now we can connect. Here we go, Roku. All right, here we go. And let's pull her photo up. And so, again, great to see. I love to see our fans out and about. And so, thanks for coming out and supporting last night. Looking good in your Roland Martin Unfiltered shirt. Man, it's always great to see y'all. So, and I told y'all, so anybody out there, if y'all bought our gear, post it on social media. Be sure to tag me, Roland S. Martin on Instagram, Fanbase, Twitter. You got Facebook, you got Snapchat, you got TikTok. TikTok, I think, is Roland Martin Unfiltered. You got Tumblr, all of those. But let me know, and everybody who rocks our gear, whether it's a shirt, whether it's a sweatshirt or T-shirt or a hat, you post a photo, I will show it on the show. And so please do so. All right, folks, that's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a fantastic weekend. Always support Black-owned media. We are doing the stuff other people are afraid to do, but we're here to speak truth to power, and that's our goal every single day. All right? Y'all be well. Holla! Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?